Hello everybody, it is Blind Metal Gamer here with you once again, and in this video I wanted to do something a little bit different. Um, I wanted to do this video on how the Nintendo 64 could have been saved and given a longer lifespan. As we all know, the Nintendo 64 was released in 1996 in North America and was supported until 2002 with the release of Madden 2002 as its final game. So that's a 6-year life cycle. In this video, I'm going to describe and explain how this life cycle possibly could have been extended and things could have been improved with a different strategy. Now, I'm going to say before we get going, this is speculation only, and this is just me doing some kind of fantasy business booking. So, again, this is just my own thing here. So, we're going to get started with the following. So, the R&D, research and development for the Nintendo 64 console would have began in 1990. Yes, 6 years prior to the release of the console. Now, this way, it would have given Nintendo time to research the console and, take advantage of upcoming trends. And I would have used Sony's chips for the system. Now, I would have used Sony's sound chip for the system. And in this timeline that we're doing here, Sony and Nintendo would not have had a falling out. See, originally, Sony and Nintendo had a falling out, and that's how the Sony PlayStation came to be. So, in our world, Sony and Nintendo are still doing their thing, and they're researching the N64 in 1990. Now, for the console itself, you would have a basic 4-button controller with 2 analog sticks, not that 6-button controller with the Z trigger and the L and R buttons and the 1 stick. It would be a traditional 4-button controller with a comfortable, smooth D-pad, and our controller would have the A, B, X, and Y color-coded face buttons with 2 bumpers and 2 triggers. Now, again, this is just me fantasy booking. And as far as the games, for in-house development, we would have our own development team for games such as Mario, The Legend of Zelda, and other Nintendo-related brands and franchises. Now, as far as the games themselves and for third-party support, I would be using CD-ROM-based technology, not cartridges. Cartridges would be out the door and be replaced with CD-ROM-based technology because it's more appealing to third-party developers and it would be easier to develop for at the time. Now, another component that would be essential to the N64 would be online support for online multiplayer. Now, you're thinking that this is insane. This is the 90s, the mid-90s here. So just hear me out. So for games such as Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, Fighter's Destiny, Dark Rift, and games of that variety, and Flying Dragons and other fighting games on the console, you would need that online multiplayer to be ahead of Sega and Atari. And if Sony did get into the video game, if maybe, I don't know, Philips got into it without Nintendo, those people may not have multiplayer. So Nintendo would have the edge by having multiplayer support for online multiplayer for fighting games as well as sports games such as, your NBAs, your NFLs, your Maddens, and your wrestling games. Now, as far as licensed games like 007, Turok, I would have, again, an in-house development team to develop those games so that way we could have our own take on the product and have that be done internally to reduce development costs and not have to outsource development to other teams. Now, as far as games such as Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat, Dark Rift, I would be in favor of having a rule where if the developers wanted to have an M rating for their game, I would allow that on the system because, again, you have, Mortal Kombat with an M rating, Mace the Dark Age had an M rating, War Gods had an M rating. but Killer Instinct, Flying Dragons, and Fighter's Destiny did not. But if they, wanted to up the ante a little bit, this would allow the developers the creative freedom to do so any way that they saw fit. Now, another benefit to having CD-ROM based technologies, it would have kept third-party support from developers such as Squaresoft, not known as Square Enix, so that way Final Fantasy could have remained a Nintendo exclusive for the Nintendo 64, and it would have also allowed for other developers to expand their games in other ways, such as having CD quality audio, better visuals, better video FMV cutscenes, and much, much more. Another feature that would make the N64 in this timeline a bit different would be there would be no Rumble Pack needed for Rumble support because the controller would offer Rumble support natively. It would be the first controller to offer Rumble support and no Rumble Pack needed. Now, as far as memory for the console and storing your save data, you could either A, get a memory card or get a memory pack like on the N64. Now, the N64 did not have memory cards, so having a memory pack for slot for the back of the controller would be something that would be there. So you could have that, and these packs would come in different variation sizes. You would have your basic pack, then a bigger pack increased in size to hold more data. Now, as far as multiplayer, as I alluded to earlier, it would support local and online multiplayer via dial-up internet connections. Now, I know that, again, this is the 90s here, so we're having to kind of go with what we have. If this were modern times, we would have everything from downloads and all that, but we don't. So I'm kind of playing within the rules. So as far as the N64 DD, I would have done something a little different. I would have had a HDD for the console. That way, if the individual wanted to, or the player wanted to do so, and they had the bucks, they could get a hard drive for their console, install it, and then they would have more memory. That way, it would be similar to a memory pack. It would hold more game data and more storage space. So, and the price of this console, I would have made the price between $299 and $349. Now, you're probably wondering why such a different price point. I would have two versions of the console. The $299 version would be your basic version with the controller, the console itself. I would include the Mario game as a pack-in game, and I would also include a basic memory pack. Now, the $349 variation, the $350, would have, again, your console. I would have thrown in a more upgraded memory pack. I would have thrown in the Mario game and maybe another third-party game like Mortal Kombat or Killer Instinct. And then I would have sold it to you that way. And games for the console will cost between $50 at cheapest and $70 at max. Now, again, I'm thinking about this in terms of 1990s economy and that type of landscape. So, with that being said, that is how I would have saved the N64 and given it a bigger life cycle. So, with that being said, I want to hear from you all in the comment section below. What do you think of my strategy? Do you think my strategy would have worked? Do you think this would have been a good strategy, or would I have failed miserably? Let me know in the comments. So until next time, I've been Blind Metal Gamer, saying if you like what you see and you want more, hit that subscribe button and be sure to turn on all notifications so you know when I upload new content like this and when I go live. So until next time, so long and peace out.